Hi there. I think this is working.
You are correct.
The video sort of looks green and awful, but that could just be me.
Must be used to the studio with all the green background, huh?
I'm not used to this.
Yeah, the white balance doesn't really work. My receiver keeps changing. All right, let's see if Stan and the boys are ready here.
You may not find us on your TV, because in case you did not know, we're being brought to you by
OTR.
Brought to you by
27.085 megahertz.
Brought to you by RADI.
The Old Tube Radio Network.
Yeah, fresh out of Studio B, the Jingle Singers, Mr. Announcer, and all those good people for the Old Tube Radio Network. Here at 27085 megahertz in Central California, where we hope to do our best to check in some of the vintage 11-meter Class D CB radios, and also the shortwave listeners and anything else that may happen here in the next couple of hours on Channel 11. Maybe some DX as well. We'll be listening for that. In the meantime, in our 35th year or something like that, it's been a long time that we've been doing this, thanks to all the radio stations and collectors that take time out of their Saturday evenings to jump into the Radio Shack and wave a hand and say hello and key up their radios and do all those fun things that we all used to do back when there was millions of people on the CB radio. Now, sometimes it's hard to find 25, but I bet we will do that tonight. So with that in mind, if you're playing the home game, you will notice that we are on the last week of our 8-week roster for the 21st day of September of 2019. I'm ready to take the SWL roll call check-ins. Radios will follow that in about 30 minutes. And as we go around here, I'll make the rounds to the various screens to see who is out there listening and waving a hand and checking in. You can catch us on the live video. Maybe you're doing that right now. If it's live, it might be years from now. Hello anyway. OldTubeRadio.net is the audio stream on your Universal Media Net web device. And of course, the best place to be is right here on Channel 11, 27085 in the RF zone. Going up to our 00, who's done a great job for 7 weeks. Let's see if we can make it 8 in a row. Hello, 00.
Well, good evening, Dennis and the net. 00, checking in.
Checking in and sounding good doing it. I noticed on the Wednesday night sideband net up on 10 meters, you are also the leader of the parade. You must have a big baton there, just marching away down the Ethernet or whatever, wherever it is that you go. Sounding good, and thanks for checking in. Also, you can follow along at oldtuberadio.net as we display who's checked in or hasn't checked in, like 00, and, of course, the cosmic check-in for SWL number 1. Plus, have to follow along on the paper here. SWL number 2, Mr. OBP. One of the guys that sat down long ago with his old tube radio with a couple of other people and said, you know what, if we go down to Channel 11, get away from the H&D, wherever else it is, and just talk like we used to on our tube radios, we'll have a good time. And hence the Old Tube Radio Network in its infancy was created. Hello, OBP, letting us know that we've had 18 days with 0 sunspots. Every time you think that solar cycle 25 is just going to break open, it sort of dies out. So it's probably going to roar into existence with great flair, pun intended, but I don't know when that will be. So thanks, Kevin, for checking in and being over there on the video side. SWL number 3. And I did see Rob on Thursday at the bowling alley, where he said last weekend was the one of the VHF contests. He was up, what were they doing? Microwaves, doing some microwave stuff and some other things. I think he saw all the 6-meter things were down, but he does not have, I think he said his 11-meter radios are not very radioactive at the moment. I'm trying to dress, you know, when you wear a light-colored shirt and you're doing video, here's what you do. You ask your floor director to dress the cable behind you so you don't have that cable running down the front of your shirt. There we go. 3 is checked in, SWL4. Do not add pictures to radio. It just gets extremely difficult. SWL5, Ida, Mama Rose, I saw her earlier in the week, and she says hello to everyone. SWL6. SWL7. I got a note to proxy in 7, which I will do. And then we go to 11 and 12, Jim and Lisa, via the email item of interest, SWL13. And Mr. Cobra often checks in at oldtuberadio.net. I'll keep an ear out for that. Also saw him on Facebook. He's been getting around this week. So he will be out there, no doubt. SWL14. From the big town of Easton, SWL15. SWL16. Shortwave listener 17. SWL18. SWL19. SWL20.
Number 20 here. Should please check me in. 295484 and the family.
Okay, I've got that down on my handy notepad, and we will get all these stations at the appropriate time. You're sounding good. Nice signal as always. And the weather was sort of cooperating today. It got a little bit warm, but it's cooling off, and it's very pleasant right now. So hopefully you'll be able to hang out in the Radio Shack for a little bit with us at some point.
Well, it's still a little warm in here, so I'm going to leave, and then I should be back.
All right, you can always catch us at oldtuberadio.net. We are beaconing and streaming, I hope, and join us. Join us, won't you? As they used to say. You'll be glad you did. And join us, won't you? SWL21, Mr. JT, who was on, and I forget the rig you were on. It's probably over, let's see. Let me click over here. It might even have a picture of it, of what you were doing tonight. Telstat SSB, Lafayette. Is that the right one? Or is that from last week? No. 140 and the reverse preamp DNA Maverick. Now that is a nice looking radio with all those with all those knobs. It'd be easy to get lost. But you, sir, have the world's largest ground rod, and of course I've lost my picture. There we go. I'm sorry, I got this wrong. The most envied ground rod in the world. It's getting more out of hand by the moment. At some point, it's going to be like, what is the Howl, the 9000 computer, where it just kind of takes things over. If it starts talking to you and wanting to do DX, you are in big trouble, sir. Thanks for checking in tonight. Next, we go to SWL22. SWL23. Shortwave listener 24. SWL25.
Hello, Dennis. 25 checking in, and if you could check in 74, that would be great. Back to you.
That would be great, and I will do exactly that. You know, oftentimes the 50,000 watt transmitter needs to be taken down occasionally to have work done on it. I understand that's probably what's happening tonight. So your 5 watts is sounding great, and we've got you checked in over.
Thank you, Dennis.
Heading over to page 2 with the reminder that I do not have the crossband properly checked in. I was talking to the X4000 on his new Baofeng, however it's pronounced, radio, and mine actually worked. The battery's kind of broken. And we also caught SWL 40, who was hearing us on low power. You're listening, Larry. We were actually mistakenly on low power, but you have some good ears out there. Also, let me go over as we switch pages here to see who is listening. Oh, there's Joseph, SWL 24 over at oldtubradio.net. I've got you, sir. Sorry I missed that. I had to refresh items of interest. We've also got the BC group out there in Squamish. Albert and Peter are listening in and waiting for the beacons. I think it's 28197, the VE7 MTY that's up there in BC. That one starts coming through. I'll probably, at least you'll be able to hear me, maybe. I'll be able to hear you guys. Also, Gerald is listening in. QLD Australia out there in Rockhampton, hoping for some conditions, but if not, listening in at oldtubradio.net. Good to have you along again tonight, Gerald. Over on the video side, DD21, the mighty Juliet Whiskey. Hello, John. Private Thor. Also, you guys are also on the video side as well. And we'll be coming up to Richard as well. All right, let's continue on because the radios need to get checked in, so I'll get all the SWLs. I have a real SWL card. I should find that later on. Let's see if SWL 27 is listening.
Proxy for Dwayne, if that's okay.
I will proxy for Dwayne. He's always kind enough to check me in on Wednesdays when he's net control. He is probably one of the closer amateur radio stations to this location here, so I always hear him quite well. 27 is in. SWL 29, we have a proxy in for Mr. Loner. And then we skip over to SWL 31. And I did not check, I should check the big board. See, wow, we got a lot of people listening. All the way from Maryland, New York, Georgia, North Carolina, Virginia, lots of stations in California, South Carolina, and there, right in the center row. I almost missed you. Robert is waving a hand. From Hendersonville, Tennessee, home of many great and famous tube radios. Hope you're able to get a few of those on the air. Thanks for checking in. Over to SWL 32. SWL 33, myself, Bozo Control, the Jingle Singers, and everybody else who is over there tonight. Okay. The honking proboscis is sort of functioning, I think. SWL 34. From is it Big Sky Country? Cowboy Country. I can't remember what he calls it, but he is out there, SWL 35. From Cowboy Country, that is Cheyenne, Wyoming. Mr. Bill representing the Red Monkey Communications. One of the reasons why so many old tube radios check in from the Central California location, because Red Monkey Communications was here forever, making sure that the radios were on the air. Thank you, Bill. SWL 36. SWL 37.
37 here, Dennis. Good evening.
And hello, radio. Good evening from the control room over to your radio room. Sounding good tonight.
But I didn't hear you check yourself in.
I did. Did you hear the honking proboscis of SWL 33 and a third?
I probably wasn't paying attention. It'd be me.
All right, so I'm not the only one that doesn't pay attention. I don't feel so bad now. But yes, I do have an error. You know what? I didn't mark myself in. Maybe I didn't check in. I'll have to go back and check the log. All right, I'm officially checked in now. Thanks for reminding me.
Yeah, put it in rewind mode to see if you did, huh? Double check.
That's true. It's all recorded on video. I can go back and see if I made any mistakes. No, I don't like to do that because I often find mistakes. What I like about watching the video replay or listening to the audio is when the stations checking in sound better than I do. And many of them do. So I always feel good that we have some great operators that can make their stations sound better than all my expensive audio gear piped directly into the sound card. It's good stuff. All right, we'll look for you later.
Okay.
SWL 38. SWL 39. Shortwave listener 40. Well, he was out there moments ago. I'll check him in anyway. SWL 41. Shortwave listener 42. SWL 43.
Good evening, Dennis. 43 on the key tonight.
On the key and sounding good. You know, I forgot my video. Let me go to the thing that has the S meter somewhere below me here. And then as people watch or check in, they'll be able to give themselves a radio report. You're sounding great tonight.
Well, thank you, Dennis.
You're moving the S meter up from my RF gain control I have set up. I don't know why the video it looks so bad tonight, but hopefully the audio sounds good. Thanks for checking into the Old Tube Radio Network.
Yeah, your audio sounds good, but some nights you hit me with 3 and sometimes you hit me with 7. I don't know what's going on there. Maybe a beam.
It's called the peanut whistle mode. Because my antenna is so low, I think it just conditions, depending on the atmosphere, and we're pretty much ground wave bouncing off everything that's in between us. So a little bit of altitude on my end would probably help out a lot. You, however, sound most excellent. Thanks for checking in.
Thank you, Dennis. We'll be standby.
40.
And SWL 40 is back into the Radio Shack.
Yeah, thanks. This is SWL 40 checking in from Chinatown.
Sounding good. I hope the calamities are at a minimum tonight.
Yes. Well, it is Friday. Well, it's Saturday, actually. So, yes. There could be a calamity or two later on.
All right. I think I hear Simon's in the background, so go check it out. Thanks. The Old Tube Radio Network is where you are tuned, whether you're at Channel 11 in the Central Valley listening over the air, or maybe at YouTube or oldtuberadio.net, where you are listening to what we call the Old Tube Radio Network, where in maybe 20 minutes or so, 15 or 20 minutes, we'll be chatting with some classic radios, the glow-in-the-dark tube vintage radios from about 1958 to 1978, all makes and models. Welcome. See what we can get here tonight. In the meantime, we are talking to our shortwave listeners, some of whom do have Old Tube radios, and some of you do not. That's okay. We'd like everyone to participate and let us know that they are listening. Just like me, I'm a shortwave listener, and I enjoy our radio operators' collections as they bring them by. SWL 44 is Mr. Ray, who is here and there and everywhere. But I don't see him here, there, or nowhere. So I will hang on, see if Ray makes it in a little bit later tonight. Up to North Fork for SWL 45.
Kind of good tonight, Dash. 45.
All right, nothing has broken yet. I don't smell smoke emanating from the back, and it looks like they're behaving over. Yeah, they're behaving over in the other studio tonight. So I think all will be good. Thanks for checking in.
Thanks, Dash.
SWL 46. Shortwave listener 47. SWL 48. SWL 48 checking in. Mr. KP, hello, Sam, from way out there somewhere. We'll click the button, and you are officially checked in on the Old Tube Radio Network. Thanks for listening. KP out there near Madera Town. Not doing too bad here into Midtown Fresno tonight. Let's try over somewhere for SWL 49.
Good evening from southeast Fresno. The band they call the 49er is checking in and wishing you all a super fine evening.
And the 49er is looking good on the S meter and sounding good on the audio headphoniums here. Thanks for checking in, Brian. SWL 50. I should check in 50. I think he gave me my initial radio check earlier in the evening here. SWL 51.
SWL 51 checking in.
SWL 51 with the Smooth audio. Sounding good, Dave, as always, and we have you checked in. He must be in the super expensive studio tonight. Is he running the, must be running the Neumann, the $3,000 Neumann microphone on that Kenwood. Over to SWL 52. SWL 53.
Hello, Dennis. 53 checking in.
And hello, Bob, otherwise known as Mr. Belair on the list. Also, SWL 53. Thanks for checking in.
Thank you.
Let me run the corners here, see who else is checking in. We've got some more people coming up. Also, listening in, watching on the video. TJ, hello, TJ Washington. Been a while. Thanks for jumping in on the video side and saying hello. Also, the mighty KUH, Brian, is in his Radio Shack tonight. I'm not sure if he's sitting in the old vintage tube chair or if he's on the new contemporary radio chair, but he's got many hats he can wear in the Radio Shack tonight, so it's always fun. Thanks, Brian. And who else? We will see. Let's continue with SWL 54. Beaconing down, making sure everybody is treating their radio nicely. Giving it that proper 2 to 5 minute warm-up time before you talk on your tube radios and having your microphones adjusted properly so you do not overmodulate. All right, Larry, we will try to have good standards here on the Old Tube Radio Network. Let's go over to SWL 55.
55 checking in.
Big signal from up near Shaver Lake tonight. Thanks, M&M. We've got you checked in.
Thank you, Dennis.
And just for kicks, we'll call SWL 56.
SWL 56.
Just for kicks. All right, I got to say it twice. And we've got you checked in. Thanks, Phil. SWL 57. From the Ditch Banks, SWL 58.
58, south side of the Big Sandy. Thanks for doing that, Dennis.
All right, sounding very good tonight, Jeremy. We've got you checked in. Thanks. SWL 59. And Joe and the gang, SWL 60.
Are we transmitting, Dennis?
You are TXing to my RX, over.
Yeah, okay. A couple of good notes here we got for you this evening. We'll say evening time to you, Dennis. The group out there, the SWLs, and most definitely the tubers there for sure. The fellows out there who give it to us every Saturday. Fresno State is leading. They're up 6 to 14, and it looks like they're pressing maybe for another touchdown. Kenny called me this morning, 800, and he says he misses everyone dearly. Asked me to check him in, so hopefully I'll do that this evening. SWL 60 checking in Big Jake Space, the 2527.
Mr. 2901, the 2527 base radio, still beaconing all these years on the Old Tube Radio Network. Sounding good. Thanks for the score updates. And I guess it's obligatory when you're here in the Central Valley that you must say, go Dogs. Thanks for the updated items as we are here on page 3. The tube radios will be checking in. And if Kenny's got the Universal Media Network, he can always listen in. Give us a shout. At least listen in at oldtuberadio.net when you see the glowing 6L6 on the left-hand side of your screen. Let's head over to SWL 61.
Real quick, like there, Dennis. I'm sorry there. Yeah, he is listening in. He's working on trying to get to send you a message. He needs help. He needs help as far as that goes on the computer there. But Kenny is listening. He heard us last week, and he's tickled pink there. One of these days, he'll be online there with us.
Okay, great. What state is he in now?
He's in Arrowhead, Oklahoma.
Oakalahoma. Okay, Oklahoma. Very good. Keep an eye out for for him. And if you're watching or listening, Kenny, we've got you. We'll get you checked in. We are looking for, Joe is in, and I gotta make sure I keep marking the main page here. SWL 61. SWL 61 checking in. I hear you fine, Dean. No problem here on the Old Tube Radio Network tonight. SWL 62. Beautiful downtown Clovis, the pride of Pulaski Avenue. Our longtime listener, Mr. Rex Lucky Lindy, SWL 62. Good to have you aboard, sir. Thanks for listening. And let me backtrack to SWL 44, who is waving a hand over on the video side. Hello, Ray, Mr. 360. With a digital check-in from a semi-secure location, the mystery location. You've never admitted to us here, but I know you probably work for the FBI, but I can't say that. I didn't say that over there. Let me click the thing and you are officially checked in. Thanks, Ray. Back to page 3, and we are looking for SWL 63. And SWL 63 representing many of our stations that listen in from Big Iron Country out there in New York. Got a couple online right now. I was listening in before the net. I couldn't hear any AM stations on the West Coast. I couldn't hear any AM stations on the East Coast. I was listening down on 75 meters. My wimpy antenna would not do much of anything. SWL 64. SWL 65. SWL 66. Shortwave listener 67. Richard, it's probably local, or as we say, it's probably loco. That would be my guess, is it's more loco than DX. SWL 68. And SWL 69, Kenny, we got you checked in. Let's head up the hill a ways for SWL 70. Who was that? Over? Who's trying to check in? Over? I heard somebody. I don't think that was 70, though.
No, Dennis, it wasn't 70.
Okay, how about SWL 71, who will have no problem checking in through the current conditions and has checked in. Let me scroll down and say hello to Stan, who just got home from his 50th year high school reunion. Those happen about now, August, September. I have a few years, not many. I have a few years to go, but the 50th is coming. The 40th is gone. I think the 45th is also gone. So that can be fun. 50 is, it starts getting, the herd starts thinning out for various reasons, any of which is like, I just don't feel like going, but had a great time. And he says he doesn't remember the moon landing in Woodstock. I'm not sure I remember Woodstock. I do remember the moon landing. See, the problem with Woodstock is, what was I, 13, 14? I don't know. And he said, if you ask your mom, it's like, Mom, can I be a hippie? And she says, no, go to your room and go eat your dinner. So I sort of missed out on Woodstock by a couple of years, I guess. Anyway, Stan, as always, good to have you aboard, and we've got you checked in from Dallas, Georgia. And Stan is partial to the Pierce Simpson Guardian radios, so we'll see if we get any Pierce Simpsons checking in tonight. Over to SWL 72. Sometimes Miguel checks in on the Facebook site. We'll check out for that. SWL 73. A proxy check-in for Miss Jilly, SWL 74. SWL 75. And Ed checking in, SWL7 from the poker game. Now, I don't know if that's a good sign, putting the X in the square. I got to say something to Mr. Ed. I'm not sure if that's a good sign that he's checking in because he's doing well, or if it's, he had to go off into the corner and cry a little bit. But anyway, Ed, we hear you, and I'll give you a confirmation that SWL7 is checked in. So let's call SWL 75. Wanted to make sure I got 7 in there. Then we go to, it's 77, but I've got my pages mixed up here. SWL 77. SWL 78. And 78, like the great 78 records. I do have my console 7, a couple of console 78 players who are the big honking needles. That's Richard, who is out. He's everywhere. Richard, you are ubiquitous tonight. Over on the video side on Google and over at oldtuberadio.net as well. Checking in. And if I click the right button, what did you say? You actually took a screenshot because I guess you've been checked in. Let's see how that works. If I click this, it should say you are checked in, which is indeed you are. Over to SWL 79. SWL 80. Over to page 4 we go. Radios are coming up. Don't go away. Just because you can't dance to the music we're listening to, don't go away, because we'll have some old tube radios that will make us skip a jump. SWL 81. I see I noticed your lightning bolts, Steve. Just got in. Says I'm sounding good. Flatterly. Yeah, that will get you everywhere. When you say that net control sounds good. And also wants to check in next week. I think I could do that, but I have to make the new list because we're on the 8-week roster. So top of page 4, Steve Areno is sounding good. Over to SWL 82.
82, checking in from the Ditch Banks of Iowa, west side.
All right, the Ditch Banks sounding good here in Midtown Fresno tonight. Thanks for checking in, Ron.
All right, thanks, Dennis. And for the NASCAR score in the third quarter, the guy in the front won.
The pole position, the guy that was closest to that waving checkered flag right at the end they always seem to be the winners. So that's pretty much when you're in the driving school, you learn that at the end of the race, you want to be as close as possible to that guy waving the checkered flag. And you will do well. Thanks, Ron. SWL 84, I'll give it a try. We've got a proxy check-in, but I know last week Jerry had cobbled together some equipment and some coax and an antenna of sorts. We'll see if he's out there. I'll get you checked in anyway. Hello, 84. All right, well, we will check in, 84. If you're listening, Jerry, maybe you're having a little bit of trouble hearing us, but that's okay. SWL 85. SWL 86, 87, and 88. All checked in respectively. In order, the Mountain Maid, Tandy Girl, and the Snowy Owl. Let's try SWL 89. SWL 90. SWL 92. Anyone here's 92, I'll need a relay on that. What's OTR's email? I don't even know if we have an email. What would be a good email? You know what? Send it to, I don't think this is the email, but send it here anyway. Send it to OTR@KB6GFD.com. Kilowatt Bravo 6, Germany, France, Denmark.com. And I'm sure somebody who knows something about OTR will get it. Let's see, I called 92, but I'll probably need a relay if anybody hears 92. SWL 93. And Richard, we have done Echolink before. I think it was, who was on with us? John Lee. My 2 meter is down, which doesn't make, I guess for Echolink, that doesn't make a lot of, not necessary, but I will get things set up again. Because of all the stuff going on here in the audio interface, I can actually do a pretty good job of getting it working, but it's just another thing I have to sort of work in and do it correctly as to not blow up everything and interface it so that I can do it correctly. But we'd like to get a local Echolink set up so that a lot of the guys here who are locally on 2 meters can chat that way too while we're talking here on the air. I think that would be kind of interesting to do. So something in the works for the hopefully not too distant future. You never know. Radios are coming up. If I would get back to the roll call here. We called 93. How about SWL 98?
98, checking in. This music is just wiping you out, baby. Hope you hear me.
All right. Yeah, it might be close to you. I hear you just fine. No problem. So maybe they're dancing south of town. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Dave. Got you checked in.
Thank you, Dave.
And we are going to SWL 103. That's Jeff, who sometimes is out in the mobile. SWL 110. Getting a check-in for SWL 111. Bob is a busy guy with his various radios and doing what ham radio operators do best, and that's a lot of public service functions that he gladly does, and we're proud that he is upholding the amateur radio creed of keeping public service in the fore. And there was a big bike ride today, and that's where Bob was today. I think a couple of people were out doing that. So thanks, Robert, for your help on that. We've got you checked in if you are listening or watching. Also says, let's proxy in 85. That's John out in Weebly, and I will do that as well. Thanks, Ray, for that. Let's go over to SWL 114.
114, checking in.
SWL 114. The Rickshaw Kid. Hello, Wayne. Thanks for checking in.
Thank you.
Wait, don't even take... If you're going to do that, you should at least take requests, right? Let's try SWL 128. John Lee, who's out there listening, having some serious power line interference on HF. Not sure if you can take out, the portable AM radio and see where it's at. See what's going on. Is it the electric fence or is it some transformer that's not functioning properly? S7 constant during the day. Still trying to track down the problem. Yeah, it's not easy to find the source, but there are ways to do it. I think one of them was the AM radio. And who was it? It was one of the early old tube radio guys, Richard Cucumber, that said he would find the pole and he would take a baseball bat and just bang the heck out of the pole. That sounds like it's kind of futile, but he says occasionally it would work to do something to the transformer. But you can complain, and in theory they have to do something about it. But if you are a lowly, radio operator that isn't making any money, that's to say when you're not public service like fire or police and it's interfering with you, or two, you're a broadcaster that makes their living from doing something where causing interference might make you not make money, then they don't come out as quickly as possible. So hopefully you will get that taken care of. I've got a buzzing thing myself, but I'm not sure. I haven't done the, shut everything off in the house and run the radio on a battery and see if it goes away. That's the best thing. If you can make it go away yourself, then you know that you are in control and can find it maybe. When you're dealing with somebody else's issue, then it makes it hard. So good luck. Good luck there, 128, because we got to have the HF bands clear. Over to SWL 131.
131 here, checking in from downtown Clovis.
All right, sounding good from downtown Clovis, John. Mr. Rude at the microphonium. Thanks for checking in. You're funny, Ray, unless your power company is filed for bankruptcy. That's when you say there's a hazard and it's going to burn your house down. They might actually come out. But since they're already in bankruptcy, they're already filing, they probably don't care. Probably don't care if you file any suits or anything. SWL 133.
View Dennis, 133 checking in.
Sounding good, sir. SWL 133 from Northwest Fresno. Thank you, Dave. And Richard, that's true in the fact that you hope that somebody in the managerial portion of the place is a ham as well, and they might take pity on you. Because a lot of the techs are ham radio operators, so they might actually say, yeah, maybe we should take a look at this and change out the transformer, whatever it is. Okay, Dr. Dave was in, sounding good. How about SWL 135? I think I have a note to proxy in 135, so I will do that. SWL 137. And Tony, SWL 145. Tony sounded good on the 10-meter net. I'm going to get him proxied in. I think he asked me to do that because he's still having some issues getting the 11-meter stuff fired up. Let's try SWL 147. Let me refresh my comments. 147 is also another busy guy that gets checked in here right at the last moment. Don't see anything from 147. The Bob and Steve show up and running. Picked up the Jingle Singers in the private jet and went to Vegas for a few hours. Yes, what stays in Vegas should always stay in Vegas. Maybe the Jingle Singers will stay there and they'll phone in, but I know they are here because I see them. I was wondering why they came in late, and they all they're all kind of staggering in, but they are back in the green room for the show, and they've got the 102-inch whip. See, JT's got the giant ground rod, and Bob and Steve have the 102-inch whip, but it's on that at the AGL or height above HAAT, height above average terrain of 30,000 feet. So it makes it play quite well. Thanks, guys, for keeping the Jingle Singers in line. Let's go up to, hope you can hear us up in Coarse Gold, SWL 195. Up in Coarse Gold, the Coarse Gold Starliner, Jim at the microphonium, sounding good down here in Midtown this evening. And over to SWL 226. Anybody I missed or might have trouble getting in, I'll be listening here for a moment to OTR standing by. Let me refresh all the things I need to do, and we will be back with your tube radios checking in on the old tube radio network. Back in a moment, a reminder that the audio stream will reset. The video stream should stay up and running, and we'll be right back. Let's get some quality programming on the old Tube Radio Network, something like this.
How do you do, ladies and gentlemen? Greetings to you, wherever you are. For music and the latest news from home and from afar, the station with
OTR, Old Tube Radio.
The station for you is
OTR.
The station for you, the old Tube Radio Network, hoping that indeed you are somewhere near a classic glow-in-the-dark tube radio, and that you will be able to fire it up and say hello to us tonight, because we would like to talk with you and check you in. In the meantime, without any further ado, or maybe a little bit of a don't, the old Tube Radio Network is standing by listening for radio number 1.
25.
And SWL 25, hello radio from the big town, or is it, I'm not sure, Madera Heights, something like that, but you're sounding good, and we'd like to get your radio checked in, over.
All right, Dennis, I'll make it real quick. I was kind of waiting for anybody else to check in or through their SWL number. But yeah, 25 checking in on the Sonar Model G. Mobile radio. Boy, I think it's 8-channel. Boy, I had to look at it. Been a while since I checked it in, but I think it's 8-channel crystal control. And has the VFO on it. Boy, the meter is working on it, and everything else is, I guess, is working. So anyway, back to you, Dennis.
Back to me in the studio. All right, we have a picture of the Sonar Model G, courtesy of Cliff's Collection. Looks like we see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 selectable channels for your crystal controlled transmit as per the FCC. Also a tunable receive, and hopefully I'll talk a little bit so you can rotate the tunable receive a little to the right. It sounds like sideband. A little to the left. It sounds like sideband again, and just right. Hopefully you can hear me. It's sounding good. The audio sounds great. We're showing the original Sonar Microphonium, which is this huge microphone. I'm not sure if that's what you're using or not, but the audio is good. Back to you.
Yeah, Dennis, exactly. It's the old Sonar, what do they call it, a piece of bread or a piece of toast or whatever, but it's a big old handheld stock microphone that Sonar mic. And anyway, just wanted to get her checked in, and we'll see what else we can get warmed up.
Yeah, a piece of toast. I think is it Crazy Bob that told me about that moniker for the radio. But boy, sure, again, it's another case of the radio manufacturer taking some time and matching the supplied stock microphonium with the radio, so that when you've take it out of the box, there really isn't anything you need to do to make it sound good, except, of course, attach it to your antenna. The Sonar Model G, original price $229.50, $230. A little bit pricey, but this was a good radio. It had an S meter, so it was a bit of the top of the line. It had some other, looks like some lighting deals on there. So this wasn't a plain Jane radio for sure. 5 watts, plus you had all 23 channels on the tunable receiver. It's putting out a great signal. Sounds perfect for our first radio of the evening. We will go back to you for another transmission, and appreciate you bringing it by on the Old Tube Radio Network.
All righty, Dennis. Yeah, good hearing from you. Sorry missed last week, but anyway, it's been kind of a lot of times here around the estate. So anyway, thanks for checking in. The Sonar Model G, boy, everything's working. The meter's working. Even on your receive shows me a good solid F7 up to 7 on my receive from you. So anyway, thanks for checking it in, Dennis.
All right, you have a solid, what was it right there? Solid S8 and more, thanks to the cool, calm, and collected Sonar Model G audio. A great way to start off the Gold Tube Radio Network, which is what we do here on Saturday evenings. Try to recreate the sound, maybe back in 1965 when that radio was brand new out of the box, how it sounded. Still sounds great here in the 21st century. And people enjoying and having a good time on their Citizen Band radios. Looking for radio number 2. Thanks, Jerry.
45.
And speaking about having fun, here's a guy who's been collecting radios for a long, long time and has to devote a large area, a very large area of his residence to make sure that all the radios are displayed and ready to go. And we are the benefactors of that when it comes to Saturday night, because Paul can fire up just about, it's like I talked about taking requests earlier. I could probably do a request and Paul could run around to the radio table and find the radio that we would want. But I'm curious, Paul, as to what you are bringing by tonight for radio number 2. Over.
Yeah, I got a question before I get into it. Did you say that Town and Country was one of the first radios made? I mean, or what you said that last week? I was trying to decipher that in the archives. I didn't get it all the way. Can you repeat that?
From what I understand, I think it was Jim who had the original information on that. There was a radio called Town and Country. It was produced by the fellow who would later, a few years later, this is 1958, this is mid-1958, who would a few years later start the Utica Company. He was in the city of Utica, so his Town and Country, the radio called Town and Country, and it does not look anything like, when you saw the video, you notice it doesn't look anything like the Town and Country you're used to, but that was what he called it. And he knew someone at the FCC, and this was prior to September 11th, 1958, when the FCC officially opened the band to Class D. And he got the note saying, to be type accepted, this is what you need. Crystal controlled, blah, 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 5 watts DC input. And so he created the radio that way. So when the band opened and it was officially Class D radio service, he could take the radio to the FCC and they could type accepted without any problem, saying, yeah, you did this, you did that, it's great. And so he breezed on through, and the theory is, the thoughts are, because of that, it is very possible that Town and Country, by that manufacturer in Utica, but not the Utica Company at that time, was possibly the first radio that got the FCC type acceptance back in late 1958. Over.
Okay, well, I got the Town and Country. So does Phil have one of them, too. Well, yeah, information I found on the thing, which I'm sure you saw the same thing, Sam's number 2, it comes out in, I believe, and that was 1960, I believe, or 61. So, as far, it must be, I don't understand why, but Utica, definitely, that's the one that I got. So, anyway, well, I'll think about it and continue on with something else so I can find something interesting about it.
Yeah, again, this is such an early radio. I'm not even sure if that particular one, with that face on it, showed up in a Sam's Photo Fax. Probably CB1, if anything. But the Town and Country, I'm still showing the other one. I should probably get a shot of that. Is definitely there, but that's in 1960 and 61. But that's sort of the story. I would love to get some more information, because he has the radio from that gentleman, find out exactly how he, picked up the radio, and maybe he's near the manufacturer or something and knows a little bit about it. So I'll keep up on that and see if there's any updates on that. In the meantime, if you mentioned what radio you're on, I didn't write it down. Over.
Oh, we got it tied up for the Utica. So I'm going to check my Utica in later on this evening if it did work. Now, this is my Browning Super MC-12.
Oh, Super MC-12. All right. Well, that has its own history. We talk about the Utica, or actually the Town and Country. I don't want to call it Utica because it's not. The Town and Country being one of the first radios out. And then you're on the General Radio Telephone Super MC-12, which is in theory the last radio out of General Radio Telephone. In fact, I guess it's possibly because of Skyhawk Communications, not directly from them, but it sounds good. Go ahead and take a transmission. I'll find a photo of that.
Okay. Oh, that's not my radio. I went into this quite a number of times. That belongs to Jim, SWL number 1. And I got it from him when he passed. And it worked well for a while, then all of a sudden it smoked, lost the transformer on it. So I picked up this MC-12 from Bob Millam. He had quite a collection down in San Diego. Matter of fact, he wrote things into Woody World's Gazette and everything. He was a very nice man and helped me out for a lot of things, a lot of information. Nice guy. Anyway, that's about it. I'll let you get on with the radio. You got some information to tell about it.
Sounds pretty good. I'm pretty sure that that's very close to or a lot like the Super MC-11A. Let me see what it says about that. The Super MC-12 was very much like the Super MC-11A. General Radio Telephone was sold to Skyhawk Antenna Company in 1972. Do I have any pictures of Skyhawk antennas? I don't even know what they made. They were upgraded the MC-12 with a much larger and powerful final audio tube. Oh, audio tube. But see, I don't have a tube complement for this. The MC-12 was not able to be type accepted by the FCC. This was the last General Radio Telephone CB manufactured, albeit from the prototype, the Super MC-100, which we haven't heard in a while, that certainly wasn't FCC type accepted and didn't make it to the sales block at all. Great audio on this. I noticed it has the. Let me go to. Do I have the extreme close-up? Let me go to the extreme close-up camera. A little fuzzy there, but there it is. It's got the GRT logo, just like the 11A does. And without a side-by-side comparison, I'd say it looks a lot like the 11A. Sounds good. Take another transmission. Over.
Yeah, you bet. They're just about the same as far as looking at the thing. They had on this of the 12, the rest of it, they had more powerful too, they say, but as far as the modulation and everything, I really can't tell much difference in it and the 11A as far as power. Anyway, this thing had a real neat deal. It had a squelch in the RF section using 1/2 of the RF tube in the thing, and it gave you squelch and also RF gain on the same control. And it works real good. Very good. You can really tune it in perfectly for noise and everything. That was one good section. The rest of the radio is just about the same, except for that one big tube. But the microphones and everything will work on it. And this microphone I run is a regular microphone that goes with this radio. So anyway, back to you.
Back to me in the studio. I switched over to the S meter here, so you can see you're about an S8 if you watch back the video, and the audio is great. The audio, if you're listening to it, sounds like it should be a much bigger signal than it is, but that's great. That's what you want, a nice audio, and it doesn't really matter what the S meter says. From General Radio Telephone, their last offering to the CB world in 1972. They might have got out just in time. They're just getting ready to go to 40 channels, and tubes were sort of on the out. They would have had to put wood grain sides in a clock, and I don't know. Maybe they just didn't want to do that. But we are glad that our collectors are around to share with us the great radios, this being one of them, from General Radio Telephone. I will go back to you for one more transmission. Paul has, I'll just say it, probably the biggest General Radio Telephone collection that is ready to go to be put on the air at any time here on the West Coast. And we are really, really lucky that he is within signal range here in the RF zone to help us out on the old tube radio network. Back to you for another transmission. It's Radio 2, the Super MC-12. Thanks, Paul.
You bet. Yeah, one of the reasons why this collection is large is very nice. It's not real large, but Jim, SWL1, has about half of his radios when he passed away, so we're keeping it all for him. Back to you. Thanks, Dennis.
Yeah, back in the day, there was always a little feud, a friendly feud going on from the general radio telephone operators and the Browning operators as to which one was the true parts radio. So we used to get a lot of general radio telephone check-ins and a lot of Browning check-ins. We still do. Friendly competition. We like them all. If it's glowing in the dark and you're able to put it to the coax and fire it up on channel 11 or as close as possible, I will spin the dial here to try and find you within a few KCs of channel 11 to make sure we get that check-in. Thanks for Radio 2. We went past the top of the hour. I think I have a contract here with these new jingle singers. So let's do our top of the hour ID.
You may not find us on your TV because in case you did not know, we're being brought to you by
OTR.
Brought to you by
27.085 megahertz.
Brought to you by RADI.
The Old Tube Radio Network.
RADIO. Always fun. Many of you remember having the RADIO in the living room next to the television. And when things got boring or Jackie Gleason or Red Skelton went off the air, you would turn on the RADIO to your favorite home channel and do what basically we are doing here on Saturday evenings, chatting with friends and having a great time, which we will continue to do. Let me run up the list, see who's still listening out there. Hello to Kentucky's listening in. We've got Woodland Park, Colorado, always waiting for the skip to tune in, just like the stations in Squamish up there in BC, waiting for some conditions. Hello to Larry just down the road. Bakersfield was in there as well. I think if I talk loud enough, they could hear me in Tulare or Bakersfield. Sun City, that's a new one from California. I haven't heard you in a while. Somerville, South Carolina, of course. New York, Georgia, Maryland. We've got Australia, the UK, all tuning in, waiting for their favorite radios to stop by, I hope. Or any radios for that matter, listening for radio number 3.
25.
25, hello, radio over.
Hello, Dennis. I've been listening to Paul and listening to a few things that you were talking about. First of all, kind of reminiscing over the last 20 plus years of OTR and Chris's garage can special radio that was loud. And it seems to me Paul, 45, had a no-name radio. Didn't have a name to it, but he got it working. And I was just curious if Paul still had that radio. I think I asked this before. And then you talked about having a radio by the television back in the 60s. Yes, my dad had a Grundig, a tube, big old head. Grundig stereo system with a turntable, but I just remember it had shortwave on it. And I always used to tune around and being curious as a kid. What's this shortwave 1 and shortwave 2? What is that? But I could never hear anything on it. So, but anyway, Dennis, I don't want to take up a bunch of your time about that. But it did bring back some old memories. Speaking of Brownings, 25 checking in the Golden Eagle Mark III SSB sidebander 2-piece radio on the non-powered banana mic. Back to you, Dennis.
Yeah, when it comes to Browning, you don't need a lot of audio microphonium amplification because they are able to do that quite nicely with their finely tuned transmitters and receivers. A lot of Brownings out there. A lot of people with great Browning collections. When I peruse through the Facebook sites, I'm just jaw-dropping at the collections of Brownings. I'm almost willing to bet that every radio that they ever sold is somewhere in somebody's collection, whether it's parts or whether it's pristine, perfectly refurbished, built like a tank. A tank is I don't know if it's a beautiful thing. A Browning is a beautiful thing. It sounds good. Take another transmission, sir. You are radio number 3.
Hi, Dennis. Yeah, and I don't know if Paul's listening. Or Kelly might be listening for him, but it seemed to me you used to have it listed on OTR at one time called the No Name Radio, but that was quite some time ago. But the Golden Eagle Mark III SSB sights under, the red light on the air is on, and boy, everything's lit up, and it seems to be working, as my ex-German boss would say. Anyway, back to you, Dennis.
Sounding great. As I've mentioned before, I've had the opportunity, the pleasure of sitting in the air chair over at that QTH and operating that particular radio, and even doing a few net controls with that. And back in the day when I had not operated Brownings, when I was in my radio days, I did not know anybody personally that had a Browning radio, a Golden Eagle. So I never got to go over to somebody's house and play with the Browning the Browning radio. So it was quite a treat. Oh, but you mentioned the Grundig. So let me wax poetic here. Back in high school days, and this would be early 70s, I had a very, very good friend who I'm still friends with today, and his parents had not one but 2 Mercedes, and one of them had a Grundig radio in it. And like you said, this car Grundig radio had AM, FM, and it had an SW, a shortwave band. And it may have had 2, I don't remember, but it did have a shortwave band. So whenever we were allowed to, get out and drive the car, I would always make sure that wherever it was some school function or we were going somewhere, that I would make sure to get in his car, and I would make sure to get into the front seat, because I was definitely an SWL back in those days, and I would probably just tick everybody off because I would immediately go to that radio. I would ignore everything that was going on in the car, and I would turn it to SW, and I would be DXing and shortwave listening as we were driving to the bowling alley or wherever it was we were going on the Grundig radio in that Mercedes. And, it was pretty lousy, the reception, because you've got the antenna and you're driving down the road and there's noise from the spark plugs. But I remember that. When you said Grundig, I remember the Grundig radio that was in the Mercedes. And I was always make sure that I would get into the front seat so I could just turn the knob and, just go through 8 megahertz, 9 megahertz, WWV, wherever it was, listening for the non-existent shortwave radio stations that wouldn't come through the little rod antenna on the front fender. Take another transmission. I've got a great shot of a Browning Golden Eagle Mark III up here, and we'll put your great audio with it.
All right, Dennis. Hope you don't mind. I'm going to tell a little story about you. When you were running this particular net on this particular radio, you were also copying CW on 30 meters, doing both at the same time, and it blew my mind how you could run the net and copy code at the same time. And I remember that. Never forget it. Anyway, thanks for checking it in, Dennis. The Browning Golden Eagle Mark III SSB. Back to you.
Back to me in the studio. Sounds good, looks good. And it is is it a radio number 3? Did I forget somebody? I'm looking at my list here. We had the Super MC12, the Sonar Model G, okay. Sometimes I get so involved in the radios and pressing all the buttons here that I forget to write down what happened. Then I'll go back and watch the video and thinking, okay, wait a minute, how did I miss that one? But at least you're seeing it and we're hearing it. Thanks for that. I wanted to comment. Somebody said, talk about I guess that last week I talked about my handle, which at that time was was Canary, because I had the bird, in my room that would sing. And I don't know where it is. I will find it. I know it's here somewhere, and I'll show it on the close-up cam, because I never get a chance to. Where is it? Hey, to go to the close-up, to go to the close-up cam. But it was a QSL card format that one of the guys I talked to, his wife was an artist, and she drew up. And she never met me, but it was Canary at Bird Brain Control, because I was always doing my high school homework in the evening as we were talking. So I will see if I can find my Canary at Bird Brain Control art for the QSL card I never made up. We are looking for radio number 4 here on the Old Tube Radio Network.
37. Station 5.
All right, we've got 3. 37. I bet you're on a radio, so move up to the air chair, but hold on 1, because I want to see who else is out there and see if we can get some SWL check-ins. But you will be the next radio to check in. You will be radio 4, but I'll be right back to you. Thanks, Chris. Who was the other station?
SWL 93 checking in. And 5 was out there too.
All right, so 93. Let me get you, Louie. Because I know when you are the expert sandbagger as you are, you've got to do the sandbag thing. And when you're kind of stuck waiting, it's a little hard to do. But you've done perfectly. We've got you checked in for this last week of our 8-week roster. Sounding good, sir. Over.
Good deal, good deal. And let me check in this Johnson Messenger 223 as number 5. You got to wait your turn.
Yeah, all right. Well, I've got the picture. We'll put the picture down. You will be radio 5, because the 4 spot, I've already written it in for Chris. Well, we'll get it. So listen in, and we'll talk about your messenger, your good-sounding Messenger 223. We got you checked in as SWL 93, and thanks. Who was the other? There was another station ending in 5, is that correct?
I think it was Paul up on the hill.
Paul, are you standing by with the radio?
Yes, I am. 45.
All right, 45. Head over to the green room. They've got all sorts of good stuff over there, and we will get you for radio number 6. So speaking of radios, let's go to radio number 4. And Chris will tell us what the coiled cord microphonium, or maybe it's one of those older straight cord microphoniums, is connected to. Over.
No, it's like a spring up and down. But no, Paul, you ought to slap me next time you see me, because I called you 35, but you're 45. But Bill out there in Wyoming, I'm no disgrace. You're still number 35. You're a good guy too. Anyway, I want to check in my general radio telephone, the Super MC11A. It's 24-channel version of this here, and we are running this here with a handheld stock microphone. Over.
Sounding great. I don't know if you were by earlier, moments ago, when we had the only other general radio telephone, I think, to wear the badge of the old man in the wheelchair, the general radio telephone Super MC12, that sounds every bit as good and loud as the radio you're at there, with the note that they added even a larger, beefier audio tube. I don't know how that's possible, but it sounds good for Radio 4. And the GRT logo. Go ahead and take another transmission. Over.
Okay. So you said 12. Now, which one had the bigger tube, me or him?
I believe you both have the ECLL 800, but this was some type of audio tube that they changed. I'm not sure what they changed to, but the radios sound pretty much identical. Over.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm not going to complain about that. Now, I know Paul up on the hill's got one.
And believe it or not, that was Paul checking in his Super MC12 for radio number 2.
Okay, and I think he has 11 too, doesn't he? Now there's, who was it, what's his name, Green Arrow or whatever? He's got one. He checked in last week. What's he doing, sandbagging tonight?
Could be. He might be listening in at oldtuberadio.net. And Paul probably has almost every general radio telephone they made. If we wanted to do a general radio telephone night, Paul would be the go-to guy on that. Radio number 4, we're seeing a great shot. If you're watching the video or over at oldtuberadio.net, this is the radio from SWL 135 from Cliff's collection, appropriately tuned to channel 11, displaying the S-meter in action and the great, if your light isn't burned out, the green backdrop on the channel selector. Over.
Absolutely. It's not burned out. It's still showing green. Oh, and Harvey's got one, too.
There are many of them around, and someone mentioned, and I didn't think about this, but some guys that are not in California said the reason the West Coast guys have so many of these is they were manufactured in beautiful downtown Burbank, Southern California. And I think that's probably true, that a lot of them didn't migrate very far, or it was just easy to distribute them here on the West Coast. So a lot of them are still hanging out. Give us another transmission, and we will continue on with the radios, but as always, a treat to hear you and the Super MC11A over.
Okay. Well, you know why they kept them on the West Coast? Because it was cheaper. Didn't have to ship them so far. It cost more to ship them than to just send them right here in local. So, all right, I'm out and I'm getting ready to go to another one afterwards.
All right, and the station, listening in on the video side, saying, sound good, Watt Mike. Let me just go back to the picture, and I'll go to the exchange. It is that microphone right there, the one that came in the box, the CM3, General Radio Telephone. I'm not sure if it's ceramic or carbon or dynamic, whatever, but that's the stock microphone with the stock audio on the Super MC11A, radio number 4. Thanks, Chris, for bringing that by. As promised, Mr. Louie, SWL 93, said we were going to take a look at the E.F. Johnson Messenger 223, which he checked in moments ago. We get a shot of the 223 here. If I click on the right thing, I'm going to show, there are two versions. There's one that has the modulation light and one that does not have. So there is the version, and I'm not sure time-wise if you had an earlier model, it would not have the modulation light. But that's what I would think, but I'm not positive on that. And then there is the model like that does not have the modulation light. But all of them are, of course, the Messenger 223s, built from 1969 to 1972. A little bit over $200, maybe a little bit more if you got it with the supplied desk microphone. This was a base radio only. It would not go mobile. If you wanted to do that, you had to get their Messenger 2 or the Messenger 1 or the solid state 123 or the 323s. But this is another workhorse standard that was produced and sold a lot of radios, not just on the West Coast, but all over. Are you still out there, Louie?
Yeah, I'm still here. Yeah, mine doesn't have the modulation light, and mine's got like a teardrop mic. I don't know which one. I think it's a Johnson Messenger, but I'm not for sure which one it came off of. But yeah, it's the teardrop microphone. 3-prong steel.
Is it a desk microphone or a mobile style microphone?
Handheld microphone.
Yeah, the handhelds that Johnson used were the sort of teardrop style, and then what they call the ice cream cone style, which I think was a static microphone. You talked into the end of it. Those showed up a lot with the Messenger 1, and the Messenger 2. But your audio sounds great. Another radio engineered to sound good with supplied stock microphonium, sounding good. Take another transmission. You are Radio 5.
Yeah, I didn't want to step on Chris's toes, though. That's why I said I'll be radio number 5 or 6 or 7. You know, it didn't matter. I just wanted to get it checked in. But here it is.
Here it is, and there it is. The Johnson Messenger 223, also sold under the Sears and Roebuck name, and it had some Sears model number. I think it started with the 7000, but basically the Messenger 223. A great radio. We always say if you want to start out for a first collection and you can find one of these, typically at a great price. It's got everything you need. 23 channels, the S-meter, a great front throw speaker so that the receive sounds good, and a great transmit, regardless of whether you have the desk mic or a hand microphone or even a properly adjusted amplified microphone will sound good on that. Thanks for bringing it by, Louis.
No problem there. All righty, keep it going.
37.
All right, next radio is SWL 45. Paul, who has been standing by, jumping into the air chair now at 9:23. And Paul, what are you bringing up to the Old Tube Radio Network for us?
Okay, I'm changing quite a bit around, and I'm going to a smaller radio, much smaller radio, and this thing's only got 4 channels. Okay, here's my Polycom 2.
All right, we'll go over to Polycom. I've got a list here. Let me scroll down and see if we have something from Polytronics. Polycom, is it a Roman numeral 2 or a not Roman numeral 2?
It's a Polytronics. Polycom Roman numeral 2-12.
All right, I'm going to put up a picture here, because I actually have one that says it's got a, regular 2 and then the Roman numeral 2. Let's see, where are we going? That one, Polycom 2. It's a green radio. It looks like it's from the early 1960s. I'm not sure if that's typical of what you got or not.
Yeah, it is. It's 1961 when it's come out. And, I'm saying that for all the information I found. But I believe this is the first CD radio manufactured by Polytronics. And anyway, the schematic here today is 1961. That's pretty accurate, I believe. Anyway, it's a 4-channel, crystal control, 11-tube radio, manufactured in Clifton, New Jersey. Well, I tell you, it's manufactured all around back there. This radio doesn't have any extra tubes like the newer ones on that Polytronics put in, but the receive pretty still darn good on the thing, I'll tell you that. The front switch, of course, has got this big old toggle switch. You flip that big toggle switch to make it come on, which I like. You can't wear those things out. Just the one thing to go on it, but you might be some things on it there.
Seeing if I had any information on the date. Sometimes I'll have a Sam's Photo Fax, but I'm sure it's probably in one of the early ones. And the on-off switch, sort of like, who is that? Regency had that. A couple of color stations had that. But yeah, this is your basic utility CB radio that would transmit and receive. And you would have, base to unit 1. You didn't have to worry about giving anybody an S-meter report. Also looks like it has the little badge there where you could write in the channels. You could remember, maybe put your call sign down somewhere. But it was functional for sure. I will, on the next go-around, I'll add the S-meter in. Sounds like it may not be putting out a lot of wattage, but it's got some good audio, moving the meter up pretty good on the forward movement. So, I also want to say Tony is listening in. SWL 145. Tony, we got you in earlier. You sounded great on the 10-meter net, by the way, on Wednesday night. So, Tony, listening and watching, and we've got you checked in. But in the meantime, radio number 6 on with us now from Polytronics. Back to you, Paul, for another transmission over.
Okay, well, the microphone is a Polytronics microphone. It's one of those big, heavy microphones that I had, how they were made. It's carbon, it's not carbon. It's really a different type of microphone. This thing, use it for a club, blow out close, knock somebody's head right off. I think it's made by Turner, but I wouldn't say for sure it was. This radio is built like a tank also, just like the General Radio Telephone VX. They're solid. Maybe not quite as strong as those, but it's heavy. Got a carrying handle in the front, which you can't see. It's right on the top. Got a modulation light right below the little boxes that you put the frequencies in. Those 4 little fields in the middle there. It's flashing like crazy. Got a regular red light on top that turns on when you turn it switch. So it's very basic, but a very good, heavy radio. Back to you.
good heavy radio. Are you running the radio off of a 12-volt power supply, or is it plugging into the wall? Over.
Come back, please.
Are you running the radio off of a power supply, like a 12-volt power supply, or are you plugging it directly into the wall? Over.
No, it's plugging into 110 volts.
All right, and I asked because I didn't see any information that would tell me that this is multiple functions, that it could run 12 volts or 6 volts or 110, depending on the type of plug you had in the back. But I'm thinking on a radio this early, typically they would be multi-purposed because you needed a base radio and you needed a mobile radio. But it does sound good. Over.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll go. I'll have to research that. Well, I should have information on, but I would put it on the card there and in your web. So there's no information there at all. That's not on my there, but I'll have to check that. See, I may have handled all voltages, 6, 12, and of course 110. That'd be my guess on it.
That's what I'm thinking. If you look closely at the picture, it almost looks like there's a handle or something that's recessed into the front that could be used for a mobile mounting some way. You just never know. Radio number 6, Paul is on his Polycom 2, the Polycom Roman numeral 2, 4 channels transmit and receive, probably from the very early 1960s, and possibly Polytronic's first offering into Class D 11-meter citizen band radio service. So back to you, Paul. Give us another transmission, and I think we have Radio 7 standing by. I want to say it's Chris. So, Chris, if you're there, don't go away. We'll be coming to you next. But first, let's hear one more, another transmission from the Polytronics Polycom 2.
Okay. I want to comment on Jerry's speed radio. Well, things sounded good, Jerry. It's still on there. Anyway, that's what I wanted to say. And thanks for checking this radio in, Dennis.
Thanks for bringing it by to the Old Tube Radio Network here in Central California, where we do just what you've been watching and listening to every Saturday evening, beginning at 8 p.m. Pacific time, for a couple of hours, allowing our great and knowledgeable radio collectors to stop by and check out their radios and chat with us and recreate the 11-meter Class D citizen radio band the way it might have been back when these radios were brand new out of the box. Speaking of brand new out of the box, what have you taken out of the box, Chris? Over.
Well, actually, I didn't take this out of the box. I think somebody else did before me, but I'm still using it. But ouch, something knows the microphone. Anyway, I want to check in my G PowerMate, the Jim Marine products, 23-channel tuber. It goes in the dark. And we'll run this in here also with the amplified D104.
All right, this one always has trouble coming up when I call it. So, yeah, there it is. It says it's from your collection. Sounds pretty good. Take a transmission, see if you can make one of those lights blink.
Well, yeah, it went from green to red.
From green to red. All right, here's the close-up. Okay, green RX, red TX. So right now the green light is on, and in moments it will not be on.
You are absolutely right. It's on the red side right now.
Sounds like it's working properly. PACB switch. This was the Panasonic chassis. Depending on who you got it from, you might have a... what was it, range extender, range boost, some meter selecting functions, but internally and tube-wise, they're all basically the same. But this is the one that Gem Marine got, and their front panel that they got, it's got a fine tune. Some of them may or may not have had the fine tune as well. I still haven't figured out how they decided who got what, but you've got a good one. It says it's plate modulated, and the Panasonic chassis out of Japan. Back to you.
Well, yeah, it's working. I can tell you that much about it. Now, I've got another one similar to it, but it's not the same, but it is the same. You know what I mean?
one of these, what was the Sesame Street? One of these things is not like the other. Actually, it is, even though it doesn't look that way. You are Radio 7. I'm sure SWL7 is listening in. Will approve of the number 7 spot going to the Gem Marine Products G PowerMate. Back to you for transmission. Thanks for bringing it by.
You betcha, Dennis. I'll be back here with another one here just as soon as I change the microphone head.
All right, and speaking about changing microphones, we're going to go over to the other studio and go to the ribbon microphone.
How do you do? Ladies and gentlemen, greetings to you. Wherever you are, the friendliest station for you by far is known to all as
OTR, the Old Tube Radio Network.
the station for you is
OTR.
Hoping the station for you is OTR, the Old Tube Radio Network, looking for radio number 8.
25.
And there is Jerry. You know, I have handles written down. Sidekick. All right. How could I forget that? I couldn't remember your handle. Remember back in the day when you would never use, unless you were using your call letters on speaking, you would never use your first name. You'd always use your handle to be incognito. You didn't want to give the FCC any extra way to find you, to give you that $50 fine because of what was it, Hobby Communications chit chat, or your radio or your antenna was too high or something. And now nobody uses their handles anymore. So go ahead, sir.
Yeah, well, thank you, Dennis. SWL 25 checking in on the Holocrafters. Citizens Band Little Phone, actually 7-channel crystal control transmit, and of course with the full VFO. And this particular radio has the S meter, which is bouncing all over the place. And it also has the VFO on the left side of the A, B, C, D, E, F channel. Boy, you talk about a simple radio. Only 3 knobbins in the front of it, and plus the on-the-air light is glowing bright red. So I guess it's working. Oh, by the way, talking on a non-powered D104. Back to you, Dennis.
Good choice for that radio, because they tend to, I want to call over-modulated, but they'll tend to flat top quite easily. And I did 2 things here. I left the control room video up, and then I put the full-page ad for the CB3A, and I can juxtapose between the ad, the CB3A that is adorning my Radio Shack, courtesy of SWL 37 behind me, which I fired up the other day through the audio board, but it sounds really good. The receiver leaves a little bit be desired, but man, that has really great audio on the CB3A. Who else has one? I think Brian had one with really good audio, which is not hard for a 49er to do on any of his radios. Do I have a way of going full page ad here? Let's do that. Now maybe that's better. Every salesman, delivery truck, service station, photographer, newspaperman, detective, ambulance, boat, airplane, construction vehicle, repair shop, police department, hospital, doctor, lawyer, merchant, or chief should be equipped with the Hallicrafters low-cost personal two-way radio. That's what they call it, a personal two-way radio. Do you get up and personal with your radio over?
Well, only on OTR to check this radio in. And by the way, you missed one item for the usage of these radios is the FM 1000, which I believe you might have a story about. Anyway, back to you, Dennis.
All right. Well, I do. I won't go through the Hallicrafter story, but it's back over. The FM 1000 is back way over on the workbench behind a Radio Shack CB that I was testing for a backup, and the Yaesu FT102 line that is in need of some looking at. on the workbench. And yeah, I grew up with Hallicrafters. My first shortwave radio was the Hallicrafters SX25. It's over here somewhere. And I don't know where they are, but my first talking to your friends CB radio was the Hallicrafters CB11A walkie-talkies. The FM 1000, not my first, but my best DX shortwave radio with the huge Vernier tuning dial on there. You just crank the knob, go to 550, 600, 700, 800. Just great for finding stations. And, of course, all their good stuff from Bill Halligan and the gang back when they were out of Chicago, Illinois. And this is, I think in the 70s, they were out of Japan. But this is one of their Chicago offerings, radio number 8. Sounds good. Oh, before you go, let me, where is it? Let me go back to a better shot here. And we'll just talk about this quickly because someone may be watching that has one of these and wonder why or why not they don't have anything. There are 2 spaces between, on either side of the channel selector, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, little rectangular, I'm going to call it panel punch-outs. You'll see the 2 screws above each of those. Now, the picture I'm showing, there's an S meter in one of them. Although not you, but you generically may have one of these radios that has neither. There just has 2 blanks on either side of the channel selector, or it has an S meter, or it will have an S meter and a little rotary control, which I believe was a VFO, a 22-channel VFO. These were all available to be plugged in, and you bought them ex post facto as an add-on to the radio. So I will ask you, sir, in my very long transmission here, do you have any of the factory options in your CB3A over?
Yes, I do, Dennis. I have both options, and they were options. They were. You could, I guess, you could order them online or wherever, and say, I want the S meter, which I have, and then the VFO knob on the left-hand side for the receive, which I also do have. So yes to your question. Anyway, back to you, Dennis. Thanks for checking in the Hallicrafters Citizen Little Phone CB3A.
37.
There's 37. Thanks for bringing it by to be checked in on the old Tube Radio Network, because without our radio collectors, it would be, what would we be doing? I don't know. We'd probably be doing something, but it's better if you're called the old Tube Radio Network to actually be talking with and talking about the old Tube radios. Thanks, Chris, for the Hallicrafters CB3A. The Jingle Singers are ready, but you know what? We have another radio, and I'd like to make sure we get all the radios checked in that want to get checked in. So radio number 9, hello, Chris, over.
Hello, Dennis. All right, this time here, I want to check in my Courier Royale. 23-channel tube with all the knobs, the blinking lights, and the hidden knob behind, and we're running here with the amplified D104 Lollipop. This is the TUGH stand mic. So just to give you an idea of what's running there, over.
Well, top-of-the-line radios for late 1962, I think the Hallicrafters CB3A was probably the top-of-the-line for Hallicrafters. But move up a couple years to the late 1960s, and you get the top-of-the-line for Courier, their Royale model. Let me get another closer shot here. And as you can see, we're into all 23 channels crystal controlled, the S meter, no options. I don't think there were any options going on here. All sorts of controls on the front for volume and squelch and some other things I can't actually see there. And I think some of them actually had an adjustment for the mic gain, which may be in the back or may not. And then various pilot lights to let you know what is going on. And of course, the very necessary thing for convection cooling, all those vents in the top to let all the heat out from the tubes, over.
Oh, yeah, it's got all that there, and you're right. The knob for the mic gain is in the back. Now, just give you an idea of what the knobs are. The top one, just to the right of the channel selector, that is what they call, what does it say? It says it's a quieting deal. The one underneath that there is sensitivity range, and then you have tone, volume, and another tone, and of course your squelch and stuff right there, and then you have your switch there for S meter and, back ports.
I went to the extreme close-up. It's still a little bit fuzzy. It's got everything you need. And Richard mentions that a lot of the radios, you could swap the transmit and receive crystals. And it was 455 KC. You could go up and below the band. My guess is, like my Regency, that radio at that time, late 60s, probably was synthesizing the crystals where you had multipliers going on, so you couldn't swap things around. But I did that in my Hallicrafters walkie-talkie. We used to get our own private channel. We would take the transmit and receive and swap them, and I don't know, we'd be at 26-something. And then somebody said that if you swapped it, got a channel 13 transmit frequency, what is that, 145? No, 135? And you swap the receive into the transmit, that would put you in, the 455 down would put you into the Civil Air Patrol. But let's talk about the Courier Royale. Sounding good. That radio has the record, and I think it was from SWL 12. He had 3 of them, and he was able to check them all in about 60 seconds. So we're glad to at least take a few minutes to check in yours.
Yeah, he said to switch. That's the way it goes, probably.
Sounds good. In all the radios, and you have a few in your collection, how would you say this Courier receiver fares between some of the other ones? Is it up there with them? Is it better, worse? No difference?
Well, it's pretty much almost equal, but with this here, you can take out a lot of different noises and everything. Well, just like your Kenwood. You have the different deals for notches and all that stuff, depending on what band you're on. It has the, tune and slope. This here kind of works, well, I guess to say similar to the same. It takes out some of the noises and filters out this and that, So, it is a very quiet one. You can eliminate a lot of the noise there over.
Indeed, you can. Part of that is also due to a Collins mechanical filter, which is in there somewhere, which helps at least for adjacent channel stuff. I think if you look down through the vents, it's going to be it's going to look like a metal tube, a silver tube. It's not going to be glass, but it'll be kind of long and skinny in that issuer. If it's got one, I think they all have one. It's your 6 kilohertz. That was a standard. I guess you could put something else in. You could put a wider one. I don't know why you would do that, but it's got the mechanical filter from Collins, which probably added a little bit to the price. I think these were upwards of close to about $300, so possibly why. Radio number 940 when we started the Courier Royale. Give us another transmission, and thanks for bringing it by to the Old Tube Radio Network.
Well, looking down, like you say, to the top there, I see one right there toward the front, right behind the speaker. And there's another one back over behind the channel dial back over there. They're kind of a square-looking deal, but tall.
Well, I'm going to say it's going to be round and cylindrical, but they could come in different flavors. One of those is probably your Collins mechanical filter.
Well, I've got one round one back there. It's pretty good size roundness, so I don't know if that's it or not.
Well, it's probably working. If the receiver's doing what it should do, it is working just fine. So thanks for bringing it by, and if you're watching the video over my shoulder, you could see the very familiar to you Hallicrafters CB3A. I was trying to figure out how to do some radios as I'm talking here, and the logistics of turning down the receiver so I don't blow the front end up and getting the audio to work is proving daunting. But I fired that up the other day with the audio board, and boy, what some great audio out of the Hallicrafters, just like your Courier Royale. Thanks for bringing it by.
Okay, well, I've heard it since you've had it. Trust me, it does sound good when you get it going through everything. It's unbelievable what came out of that thing that day. All right, Dennis, I'm going to get out of here. I do have one more coming up, though, so it's warm, and I will be going to it.
All right. We still have time here on the Old Tube Radio Network. think they suggest about a 2 to 5 minute warm-up for your tube radio if you've got one. And as we always say, there is no prior... you don't have to have a radio to check in. If you want to stop by and say hi, that's fine. You don't need an SWL number. This is not a club. No secret handshakes. So we invite everybody, whenever you find yourself in front of one of those glow-in-the-dark tube radios, to stop by and give us a shout, as they say on the 11-meter band. Speaking of giving us a shout, over in the other studio...
You're listening in the latest style at
27.085 megahertz. Channel 11, Old Tube Radio.
In wonderful
Fresno, California.
Looking for Radio 10.
37.
All right, we might have 10 and 11. Chris, step up into the air chair. We'll get you for number 10. Who was the other station?
45.
And 45, you will be lucky 11. So we'll be right with you, Paul. Don't go away. Radio 10 online now. And by the process of elimination, I should probably know what that is. But I don't. No, I bet I do. I bet if I write for Radio 10, and there's a thing that says operator, and I write Chris, and if I remember that name, but I spell it differently, I might be able to write it into the tube radio description as well. Over.
Oh, most definitely, absolutely, you can. You can write that in. I noticed that Paul, me and him were standing close side by side here on checking in radios tonight.
That's a good thing. There is no, no too close together. If there are a lot of radios want to check in, that's a good thing, and I will stay out here and do just that, because that's what they pay me for. Well, wait a minute. No, they don't pay me at all, but that's what I do anyway. I take a transmission.
You pay yourself with chocolate chip cookies, don't you?
Yes, I made some last weekend because we had the SBE picnic, and they are all gone. And I didn't get that many of them. So somebody discovered that there was homemade cookies, and all the ones that came in the Costco box nobody ate. So, but yes, chocolate chip cookies are a good thing. Tell us about your radio.
Probably Larry should turn them all. All right, I'm going to check in the Chris 23 Plus CB transceiver. We are ready to hear with the original handheld stock microphone on this one. Over.
The handheld stock microphone, which plugs into... This is weird. The shot I'm showing has a jack on the side, but I'm going to say that's a headphone jack under the PA-CB switch. And then it has what looks like a plug. Okay, that is the microphone, but there's no microphone on it. Just a strange item. And this radio, we were talking about the Panasonic chassis. I think if you look inside this radio, it's going to look a lot like... What was the other one you had? The Gem Marine Products. But you can tell by looking at the front panel, there are some differences on the outside.
And, Dennis, I think that's about the only thing that I can't find a difference on. Well, I've had the top off, looked down both of them, and honestly, they look identical. They seriously do. And you're right, that one door on the far right bottom down there, that is the headphone jack plug.
Probably that, and I'm thinking unless you have some setup in the back, it might be how you would do your PA as well. I'm not familiar with that radio enough to know that there may be another, when you go to PA, it might give you an output in the back as well. But minus the green light, you do have the red light on this one.
Yes, or when it has the modulate, what it says. It only time it keys up lights up is when I'm speaking into it, or if I have the volume up high enough. Believe it or not, you could make it blink.
That's scary in itself. I can't even make the radio I'm talking on do anything special. So at least it's good to know that I can do on the Chris. KRIS, AM plate modulated. Have the ability, if you have the proper cord, to go 12-volt DC mobile. I do have a list of tube complements on this one, 11 tubes. The oldtuberadio.com is an operator's manual for that particular rig. A lot of 6-volt tubes, a 12AX7 in the audio. Trying to see what the output modulator, 6GH6. So your standard good stuff. Back to you for transmission, and thanks for Radio 10. We've got 11 standing by, but let's hear one more from both Chris's.
You betcha. And yeah, there we go. Got it working there. Yes, it is working. I'm not complaining. It's doing what it's supposed to, and it's blinking red when I'm talking to it. And I turned it up a little bit and made it blink when you was talking on it. So give yourself a plus. You was modulating my radio.
Good. I have trouble doing mine, so if I can do yours as well, then my mellifluous tones will not go to waste. Thanks for bringing it by.
You bet. I'm out. I'm going to jump on the other radio and listen.
All right. Back to the SWL mode. Always fun to listen in on whatever various frequencies things might be happening. Happening now, Radio 11. Hello, Paul. Are you still there? Over.
Oh, yeah. Still here. This is Utica. It's a model MC27 Custom Town and Country.
Let me go to my Utica, because when we were talking about the earlier model from 1958, and of course it is not in any of my Utica files here, because in theory it's not a Utica, it's a Town and Country. And let's see, what you're bringing is in a Town and Country. Give me the name again. I may not have that for picture-wise.
Okay, it's a model MC-27 Town and Country. It's a custom. It says that on the dial up there.
Okay, let me show you what I do have. And this is actually from your collection, but it may not be the one you're on. Let me go to that picture. It's Utica TNC MC27 from Paul, but I don't see the custom logo on it.
Yeah, you will. It's right on the bottom of the dial. It's a channel dial right there in the middle of it. That big dial. It's right underneath the outer part there. You can't see it underneath that. I couldn't find it for a while either. And then I got to looking at that other one that's in there. It's got the same thing, but his is a lot prettier, number 56. 56. But his is a lot prettier radio. But mine, I think, is more the basic one. But they're both custom. And that one in the let's see, it's listed in here on the right below mine. Yeah, it's custom on here. Same thing, just a lot prettier radio. Have you got the same pictures I got?
Yeah, I think I do. In fact, you can actually see, I went to a close-up. You've got the channel selector, FEDCBA. Anybody got perfect pitch? FECCBA? You could do a little song there. And there is the TOM, Tom. I got the part of the custom there. I'm going to switch over to, this is Phil's radio. And there it is. Because it's a head-on shot, front shot. It's that says the MC27 custom. It's a little bit different, and it's not as silvery, but that is the custom. I wonder what was the custom. So this is the big brother, the older brother, or the newer brother, one of the brothers of the Town and Country before it was Utica, before they formed the company. But after they did, they brought back the Town and Country name. Good audio. I'm showing these were probably produced from 1960 to 1966. The price was just under $200, and it's, as one would expect for the models, a 6-volt to 12-volt, 115-volt AC. Sam's CB2, so you know it's early. Back to you for transmission. I'll also work the receiver while I'm listening and see how the crystal is doing on that thing. Over.
The crystals, you want to know where they... I got a fish right at the bottom. I believe it is. I got this on here. It's, I got this in here somewhere. I know you get to them very easily in the back of the radio, if that's what your question was.
Yeah, I was just going to check the frequency. The crystal, I got you at 27.0842. So let's go back to your radio here. About 800 cycles low, but well within well within my passband. And there's your Town and Country. A little different. It's got the silver case, the mic plug, which looks like maybe a tip ring sleeve or something. It's just the phono-style jack. And, here's one. Here's one for you. What letter is channel 11? Are you actually on C? It's showing that you're on C on the picture. Is that channel 11?
Yeah, okay. I lost part of that, but of course, I'll get back to that in a little bit. I'll tell you about the microphones before I forget about it. I'm running a Turner M+2U on the thing. I believe I got the original microphone here, but it said it's so weak that it can't even hear it out of it. I might try just for fun, but we don't have time to do that. I think I've talked enough about the unit. Well, back to you.
All right, I swapped over so we could see the S meter, or is it the S meter here, and it's got some pretty good forward movement. So the amplified microphone, I think, is doing well to keep the modulation percentage up. It doesn't sound real fuzzy or over-modulated at all. So you've got it set up good. If you wanted to try to switch the microphones, that's fine with me. And I've got the picture to see if we can detect any more or less movement on the audio as well. But the way you've got it, everything sounds good. Over.
Okay, I hope no one gets mad about it. It'll take just a minute.
All right, not a problem. Jingle Singers are saying they will take that time while you're setting your microphone up to tell us something about the magic of the Old Tube Radio Network.
What are the magic numbers?
27.085 megahertz, channel 11.
Are the magic letters?
OTR.
Right here in
Fresno, California.
Radio Magic.
Old Tube Radio.
For you.
And let's see if Paul is back with the microphonium change. Over.
Yeah, I got it working. Like some meter, it's not doing the job of the other bigger, older microphone, but it's working. You got me all right?
Yeah, I still got some forward movement, but it doesn't keep that average modulation level up like the other one. A little bit different on the tone quality, but certainly not 100% modulated. But it works. There's no buzzing. It's keying the microphone up, so that is a good second spare microphone, no problem. Over.
Okay, wouldn't speed up. It's really a beat-up old microphone. I'm kind of convinced that it did something with this radio. That's good, though. Just to have it along. That's fine. All right, thanks a minute, and I'll get out of here and let somebody else say thanks, Dad.
All right, thanks for bringing it by. I don't have the picture of the other MC27 Town and Country, but this is still from the same people as I think the guy said he's working out of his garage. Back in the early days of Class D 11-meter citizen radio service, providing a service and trying to make a few bucks as well. You're listening to the Old Tube Radio Network, real radio's glowing in the dark. I call it a program, a function that we do every Saturday here from Central California, beginning at 8 p.m. Pacific time, for a couple of hours to recreate your Class D 11-meter citizen band radio service the way it might have been when these radios were brand new in 1960 or 59 or 1972. And we do appreciate our tube radio operators and the SWLs that join us and make it what it is. Counting and mounting is coming up, but while I do that, there's still plenty of time if you have a radio warming up to get in before we sign off for the evening. OTR standing by.
SWL number 7.
All right, a couple. I think I heard 20. Don't go away, Harvey, if that was you. And SWL 7, who I did get. I don't know, you might have gone away from the video screen, but I did see you check in over on the video side, and I was wondering if when you take time out, if things are going very well or things are not going very well. But we're glad you took the time out, and we'll get you the official check-in for the SWL item and maybe even a radio. I'm not sure what you're on.
There you go. Well, this one is the Tram TR27 Echo. 23-channel transmit and receive with the Electro Voice 638 microphone.
I think I knew that was a Tram. It has its own... The Trams have a little thump. I think Phil's has a little snap or a thump when it keys in. Let's see. What do we want to do? If I do the full-page ad... There it is. Of that radio back in from October of 1963. They're top of the line, end of the line for the TR27E, big box radio. And then if I can do this, we'll go to the picture, we'll go full screen, and you can give us another transmission sounding good.
There you go. Well, actually tonight at the poker game, I broke even exactly, so I came home with exactly what I took. And we had potluck and all that, so I ate and drank for free.
Boy, that is perfect. That's kind of the perfect way to go. You get an evening out. You sort of go in the way you came out, but in the meantime, you have fun doing it. Like you said, you get some potluck as well. 10:02 is when we'll log you in. Radio 12. What was 7 tonight? 7 was the Jim Marine Products G-Power Mate. Radio 12 is your Tram TR27 Echo, and we are, if you're watching the video, oldtuberadio.net, the picture is the radio that we are hearing, or will hear when Ed gives us another transmission. Back to you.
There you go. This is the very radio which you have on the screen at this time. And, yep, big old 5x7 speaker, the big S-meter up there, larger than any S-meter that I've got on anything, except I would have to say the ham radio, the screen on the 7300 is bigger than the S-meter.
And this one, I don't believe, has a USB port or some way that you can get it on a big monitor. I'm not sure the 7300 does or not, but that's sort of a feature that they overlooked in 1963. You know, the television, 1963, a black and white console television with the little pointy legs was probably at least as much as this radio. Probably in the $200 or $300 range, maybe less. I know color TVs were even more than that, but electronics was expensive. You had to work a whole bunch of weeks and months to afford this stuff. Not like today. Radio 12. Give us another transmission. I believe Harvey is waiting, standing by, and we will pick him up. But first, I want to applaud your efforts for jumping into the air chair probably before you needed to do all those other mandatory things. So one more transmission, and we'll let you go. Thanks.
Oh, no problem. I love taking time for OTR. With that, I'm ready to hear Harvey, and after he's done, I'll have another radio.
Okay, well, we'll stay on as long as we need to check in all the radios tonight. At top of the hour, our contract says when we go past a top of the hour, we must, okay, they're assembling. We must go and do this.
You may not find us on your TV, because in case you did not know, we're being brought to you by
OTR.
Brought to you by
27.085 megahertz.
Brought to you by RADI.
The Old Tube Radio Network.
You might not find us on your TV, unless you're watching the TV. Hi, you can find us on that TV, the Old Tube Radio Network. Thank you, Mr. Announcer, and everybody else there in Studio B. And hello, Harvey, over.
Hey there, Dennis. Just got in under the wire. Gotta get inside, because the Wi-Fi is a little better there, and the Fresno State game is on Facebook. And so I've got that on my cell phone. And when I bring it out here, I was worried that I couldn't quite get it, but it looks like it's working. Game's still on. So kind of watching that. Anyway, the R68T68 model with the on-air light and the 3-position RF gain on the receive. Anyway, custom D104. This will be the only one since it's still a little warm out here. And we'll turn it back to you and get back to the game.
Yeah, I forgot the game was going on. Joe always is good to give us the score. This was 2 hours ago. Fresno State was ahead. We're actually doing pretty good. 13 radios. You're radio number 13 tonight for a local game. Sometimes that keeps people on the other side of the radio room that doesn't have the radio that transmits, the one that listens to, I don't even know who's carrying the game now. Or like you said, it's on Facebook. So I'm assuming this is not a local home game. I don't know. 84 degrees in the Radio Shack. It feels comfortable in here, and I'm in my... When we do video, I have to dress up. I'm in my nice little long-sleeve shirt that works with the lighting effects. Let me turn the lighting effects on. See, and then I turn the lighting effect on, and there we go. The original, or the first, I should say, Eagle, or Golden Eagle from Browning, the R68T68. There's the advertisement up here. Sounds good. I have a feeling, don't go away too soon. You may be hearing another one of these. But first, let's take another transmission on yours, which is your, I know it's your favorite.
Roger, it is basically one of my favorites. Let's see if I can get over to the phone here. Fresno State 27, Sac State 20, Fresno State with the ball. About 4 minutes ago, a little under that. And Fresno State, until now, has been really playing poorly. They were about over 20-point favorites, and they're only ahead by 7. Anyway, it's still a little warm in here. Okay, I'll turn it back to you, get back to the game, and I'll, excuse me, stick around for a little bit. Back to you.
All right, good deal. The R68T68, the R, the receiver, the bigger unit, of course, the T, the transmitter. Kind of a short run, really, for this. 1967 to 68, the interim between the Eagle, the R27S23, and the Mark II, and all its configurations. Original price around $400. And in that year or so, there were 2 versions of this, maybe 3 versions, but Series 1 and Series 2. And yours always sounds good. So, did I tell you we're Radio 13? Thanks for the score update. Maybe that's why we're getting radios. The game is disappointing. So you get the fans. If it's not really exciting, you can actually go to the other side of the radio room and use the radio that has the microphone on it. Let's go to Radio 14, I bet. I'm going to stand by, but I bet we have Radio 14 out there.
Contact.
Oh, but first, wait, there's a guy. You can tell when the ham radio operators come in, they know how to work a contest. They know how to just jump in there. Because, when you're running QRP and you're on the fiberglass antenna, you don't have a lot working for you. So you have to have this, it's like a race car driver. You have to have the skill of making that corner and knowing when to put on the brakes so you don't crash. Hello, 70.
Hello, Dennis. Yeah, we're QRP here. We're just elevated a bit. Checking in late, please.
All right, SWL 70. That's Mark at the microphonium. And I'm going to find you on the page and put the X in the square. You're sounding good. Thanks for remembering the old Tube Radio Network. Good to hear your voice, and we've got you checked in. Over.
Right back at you. Thanks for being here, Dennis.
All right, thanks for checking in. I haven't started counting and mounting. OTR is standing by.
Number 7.
And number 7 is standing by no longer. Let me get back to the paperwork that I need, get back to the panel that I need, and say, hello, sir. Go ahead, 7.
Just like the last Browning, this is a Browning R68 T68. Only difference is this one has the Browning Golden Eagle banana mic.
The standard mic, I had the picture there, and I got rid of it. I think the ad that I'll be showing actually shows the standard, maybe that's not the right word, but the microphonium, as you call it, the banana microphonium that would come with the item of interest. So let me do this. Yeah, there we go. If I go to my full screen ad, there it is. All right, there's the whole thing. Now you just have to figure out how to get that cool speaker, and I bet it doesn't cost $25 anymore.
No, unfortunately, it definitely does not. They're quite expensive now, if you can even find one. So I may end up having to just make one.
I was just about to say that you could probably make one. Find some, old Zenith radio grill cloth. You can probably find the Flying Eagle somewhere, and then make it the size that you want it. You could probably work it so that it was actually the same width as the transmitter. Put a little 6x9 or something in there. I don't know. That'd be fun. Or get an old case. Now it's really getting expensive. Get an old case and put it in that way. You are Radio 14. So 7 times 2. You did well. This has been a good evening, right? You actually got to check in a multiple of 7. And you made it home with the same money you left.
There you go. Cannot complain. And if I did, nobody would listen.
Well, you could complain. You could listen. What you could do is complain and then watch the video back every now and then when you feel like complaining. Radio 14, the R68 T60, the Browning Golden Eagle Mark. It's not a Mark. Mark 1, Mark none. So back-to-back Eagles. I haven't counted and mounted yet. I'm not sure which manufacturer is going to be our most heard tonight. We will find out soon. Anyway, give us another transmission, and thanks for bringing by yet another radio tonight.
Oh, thank you, OTR. And Bozo Control, of course. With that, we'll let you do some counting and amounting.
Counting and amounting is a good thing. The Jingle Singers are... Bob and Steve did a good job of... What did Bob Euchre say? Getting them liquored up. So as the evening wears on here past 10 o'clock, they're sort of drifting away. So this is probably the most apropos jingle that they could do before we lose them completely. You're listening to the Gold Tube Radio Network.
You're tuned to
OTR. Channel 11.
Right here in
Fresno, California.
Stay with us.
Old Tube Radio.
And be modern.
Counting and amounting.
Oh, by the way, number 7?
Yeah, I think we got you. I got you on the TV page.
Yeah, but this is another radio, another Browning Mark III SSB.
Oh, I'm trying to get out easy tonight. Let's go with Radio 15. Let me pull this page back up here. You fooled me. I heard I wasn't listening. I wasn't discreetly listening. And if I was, I would know the difference. I've learned something in 35 years doing this. I would know the difference between the pings. Browning Laboratories, Mark III SSB. There we go. All right, take a transmission, sir.
Oh, there you go. Oh, I gotcha. That makes me laugh now. Anyway, yes, the Browning Golden Eagle Mark III SSB with the Golden Eagle microphone, the Golden D104.
All right, well, I think our Browning radio fans probably are going to like that check-in. Because that could be the ultimate, guess who's the most heard manufacturer tonight? Browning Eagle Mark III. We talked about 1967 to 68 for the original Browning Eagle, the run of the Mark II, and then in 1972 for 4 years until Browning had to figure out a way to put 40 channels in the transmitter and come out with the Mark IV. This radio sold quite well for being pretty much on the high side of $600 and $700 for that 4-year run. Still sounding into the 21st century. One more transmission since you took the time.
Thank you. Thank you for taking the time and let me check all these old radios in.
It is our pleasure, myself and the SWLs enjoy, like you would enjoy watching the 59 Plymouth Fury and the tail fins driving down the road next to you, and just tuning on our radios or our media devices and hearing some of these classic radios that are a little few and far between these days, really putting on a good show for us tonight. All right, back to counting and amounting.
Still listening there, Dennis. Good game. Well, Renee from Fresno State pulled it off. 34-20.
All right, there was some report that they might have been a little lackluster, but the score sounds good.
Yeah, last 10 minutes, they just poured it on. In fact, I thought they were going to do as many points in this last 10 minutes as you did radios.
Well, we did good. 15 points. If you count a radio as a point. So that's good. Was the game, where was the game played?
Sacramento.
Sacramento. We actually had someone listening in from Sacramento earlier. Sacramento, who are they playing in Sacramento?
I'm not sure. They just say Sacramento. Doggone it, we don't know. They don't put the name there like we do here at Fresno State. But this was a well-desired game. Boy, they needed it, being 1-2. Sacramento had a pretty good score. I mean, they had a pretty good. They've had a good season so far. To put 15 on them, we were favored by 20, like someone said earlier. But doggone it, we'll take the 34. We hit 14 points. You got 15 radios. How about that in 10 minutes? Sac State.
Sac State. All right, I didn't know that was in the queue. I guess I should know more about my my alma mater. All right, well, just down the road. And they did well. Winners, and always winners here in the old Tube Radio Network. Checking to see if I have any more check-ins over at .net. Looks like I think I've got everybody that wanted to get checked in. And so I'm waiting. There they go. They must have been watching the game over there. I was waiting for them to do this.
This is the Old Tube Radio Network. Ladies and gentlemen, stand by. It's time now for the current OTR totals.
The current and final totals for your Old Tube Radio Network on, if you're using the right page, September 21st, 2019. I mean, when we were doing this early, I couldn't even think about 2019. I was hard enough getting past Y2K, but our operators and the radios and even me are still around to do this and having a good time doing it tonight. 15 radios checking in tonight. Maybe that's what happens when the weather gets nice and there's good things are happening with Fresno State. SWL's also 58 tonight, a lot. 14 on page 1, 14 on page 2, 13 on page 3, and 17 checking in on page 4. Most heard radio tonight. Like the Bulldogs came on at the end, the Brownings did the same with 4. Started off with the Sonar Model G. Way back at 8:45 Pacific Daylight Time. Thanks to Jerry for that from his collection. The General Radio Telephone Super MC12. We don't hear too many 12s. I bet they didn't make a lot of them, so that is a rare radio to have around. And we are lucky to hear it. Sounds good. Just a reminder that you can hear your check-in by going to the archives in the MP3 mode over at oldtuberadio.net and clicking on the archive button and waiting for the OTR magnetophone to load all those little reel tapes. Take a few minutes and then clicking on the date and the check-in that you want. Or if we keep the video up, you can watch the video. Or listen to the video. That's even better. Don't watch the video, just listen to it. Radio 2, Paul on the General Radio Telephone Super MC12. As I said, the Browning Golden Eagle Mark III SSB. The radio that I have had the pleasure of operating from SWL25. Radio number 4, Chris on the Gem Marine Products. No, on the General Radio Telephone Super MC11A. That was Radio 4. The Gem Marine Products came up later. The E.F. Johnson Messenger 223, Louis. And he's got the no mod light version. The Polytronics Polycom 2, Roman numeral 2 from Paul. One of our early radios from probably 1960. Chris on the Gem Marine Products G-Power Mate was Radio 7. Radio 8, the Hallicrafter CB3A from Jerry. Radio number 9, Chris on the Courier Royale, followed by Radio 10 on his Chris 23 Plus. The Utica Town and Country, maybe that was our oldest radio tonight, the MC27. Might take the winner for the oldest radio tonight. Radio 11 from Paul. Radio 7, Radio 12 was SWL 7 on the Tram TR27E from 1963. A good year for radios. The R68, T68, back-to-back. Radio 13 from the West Side and Harvey, and Radio 14 from Midtown and Mr. Ed. And then again, Radio 15, the Browning Golden Eagle Mark III SSB. Our radios for this episode of the Old Tube Radio Network. Hopefully you are doing something like this, whether it's a old tube radio night or an old radio night like JT does, or a get on the air night with whatever, wherever. Good thing to do. Wherever you're at, keep the 11-meter radio going so that somebody pulls out their old radio and they don't get discouraged thinking there's nothing on. Reading a post on one of the Facebook pages about what's on in your area, and I'm going to say over 50% of the people said nothing. Not much. It doesn't take much to get a group or two to get on the air, and people will come. People will find you and tune in. Thanks to everybody that listened in tonight. Thanks to SearchLawrence.com for keeping the Nixie tubes running. And we will try this again on our new, it'll be our new 8-week roster, so we'll be able to check out a new 00. Thanks to, who was it, Phil, SWL 56, who was actually going to be in the running. Maybe he'll have to do another 8 weeks. He's saying, no, please. Catch you all later, and we'll do it again on your Old Tube Radio Network. 73, everybody.
Thank you, Dennis.
Good night, good night.
Hey, Dennis.
And we're still being heard in Madera Town. That's good. That means my antenna hasn't blown over. I hear thumping on the roof. It's the squirrels. I've got an oak tree, and I think the squirrels are burying every single acorn that they can. And then last night I went out, and there were 2 raccoons standing on their hind legs saying, human, go away. So I better go out there and see what's happening.
I know about the squirrels. I got them over here.
Yeah, the weather is just enough that they're doing their squirrel for the winter things. But I saw the fox a couple nights ago, and then last night, not 1, but 2 raccoons who were playing havoc with all the water dishes for the kitties.
Yeah, just recently I saw a possum, man. I thought it was a mutant rat.
They are a mutant rat. But I guess you have to remember the possums, even though they have that mutant rat logo, are the marsupials, and they're supposed to do good by eating fleas and ticks, and in theory they don't carry diseases, etc., etc. But they can mess things up too.
Things are nasty.
Yeah, there you go. I give that thing a wide berth.
Well, you ain't never lied. They are nasty.
Yeah, this was real bad when I lived up in North Fork.
They don't believe they're dead. They play dead. The only way you can tell they're dead is when their fur turns color and millions of fleas crawl off of them.
Yeah, my husky would get a hold of one and kill one every once in a while, and you'd know it because you could smell the damn thing from across the yard. Yeah, those things are just nasty little critters.
And their blood stinks real bad if you shoot them with an arrow, throw it away.
All right, folks, have a good night. Have a good week coming up. See you next week.
73s to all the SWLs.
And let me find the buttons, and I'll stop this video stream. Thanks for watching.